God has really challenged me to see myself
Mhm.
in this pivot. That's
Mhm.
the unlearning. See yourself, because I need you to see you how I see you
Mhm.
all
That's
the
it.
time.
Mhm.
If you see you like I see you, imposter syndrome goes away. Doubt goes away. Fear goes away. So I need you to show up and see you how I see you. Show them, be present, show up how I see you. Because if you show up as Keidra, it's not going to be as impactful as showing up as the daughter of the king.
Absolutely. Yep.
Keidra has limited capacity, but the daughter of the king, honey, I bring that smoke, you know,
Yeah.
the clouds, all of that's coming in the room with me.
Okay, say either way that life sway. Let's make the right play. Tap in with Coach K, life coach with the right approach. Yeah, she gon' put some Jesus on it. Coach K, heavy on a woman of God. Life coach with the right approach. Yeah, she gon' put some Jesus on it. It's that level 27. Hey, hey, don't stress, be blessed. 3 things to digest. Stay focused, trust God, and respect the process. It's that level 27, 27.
My guest of honor is a Fort Worth, Texas native and a woman of deep faith that refuses to compartmentalize the spiritual and the strategic. She's the founder of Egan Rose Consulting and serves as the Chief Empathy Officer. She helps high achieving women of faith navigate the tension between professional performance and authentic presence because sustainable leadership requires both competence and heart. Her work focuses on mid market companies and founder led businesses that are scaling beyond the founder's capacity. She builds strategic infrastructure that works when you're not in the room and helps leaders shift from being the bottleneck to being the visionary. Her approach to organizational transformation is grounded in the belief that everyone in your organization has capacity you haven't fully seen yet. That changes how we build systems, that changes how we lead. Today, my guest of honor is Keidra Norwood. First of all, I always will tell you this every time I see you. The Chief Empathy Officer is absolutely amazing. I
Thank
love that
you.
title
Thank
and you
you.
you really live it. So I love that so much.
Thank you. No, I try to. Even that title is God given, right?
Mhm.
As I was in the space of forming business and really understanding, well, what is it that you want to present and how do you want to present yourself, right? And in the entrepreneur space, well, everybody's their own personal CEO. So people think traditionally chief executive officer. But I wanted everything I did touch, see, engage, participate with to align with my guiding principles as a person, as a company, and empathy is that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, why not? I am the chief empathy officer of this ship, right? So when I come in the room, empathy is coming with me because I want people to feel, number one, psychologically safe in a space with me, right? Equally, I want to make sure that choice is promoted, that you're empowered, that you understand that this is a collaborative engagement no matter what container we're in, and if nothing else, the spirit of resilience, right? So all of those things are an amalgamation of who the chief empathy officer is, and they are all a part of my guiding principles, and they all land very squarely in my faith. Right. I
Yeah.
don't quote scriptures because I ain't working on that much sleep all the time. But if you search the word, you can find these things maybe in the fruit of the spirit or in Proverbs where it tells us and teaches us how to be, or even go to, Corinthians where we talk about first or second Corinthians where it gives us instructions of how to be the church. Right. So long story short, I try to really focus on embodiment, and keeping that title helps me to do so.
I love that. Yeah, it's very important for you to have look structure in place and
Right.
a
Yeah,
foundation in place
I'm
to help
glad
you
you
stay the
see this.
path.
structure.
Yes, it's so important because whenever things do go haywire, you can always lean back on what your foundation is, so it's great to hear that those are your pillars, that those are your standards, and that shows through in everything that you do, so it's very important to have that. Could you tell me a little bit about, like, your background and how you built that foundation? Because I feel like it starts early on when you're a kid, so could you tell me a little bit about your background?
Girl, don't make me talk about me as a kid. I think I one of the worst of my mother's, children. Like, I was the most rambunctious, I was the most, uh, troublesome child. I was a middle child, right? I am the middle child, and 2 times because my family is a blended family. My mom and my dad were never married, so they both had 2 sets of kids.
Mhm.
I'm the middle child on both sets, so
Yeah.
right. So I'm grateful that I was able to get that rambunctiousness out as a child versus as an adult. Right. So
Mhm.
maybe that framed me for, being quote unquote a good person. I got the bad stuff out the way early. But then equally, I think just that birth placement helped me to really understand being seen, right? And the value of it. So that I think when we talk about childhood, in my opinion, looking back now in 50 plus years, I think that was, formational for me
Mhm.
and helping to ground me. But then even if I fast forward to say, how did I kind of get to this chief empathy officer state of being? It was coming up through the ranks in various organizations in various industries and understanding and seeing and living through being a person at the table who brought so much to the table, but were often overlooked or discredited or not discredited, but not really valued for the value they brought.
Mhm.
They were valued in what they could do for the person who was in the room, but not as the person being the contributor, right?
Hmm.
And that story is not uniquely mine. I think there's over 600,000 Black women who have left corporate who could kind of attest to that story. But my point is, it didn't just happen in a corporate setting. It happened in non-corporate settings as well, where I'm not going to speak for everybody else, where I brought value to a table, but that value was minimized and later capitalized through somebody else.
Hmm.
So you get it. That foundationally what helps to form what I do as an independent. Well, my independent self says I will do no harm, right? I won't do to others what was done to me in different containers.
Yeah.
Am I saying I'm operating from a place of hurt? No. I'm operating from a place of wisdom, a place of let me pay it forward. Let me help to prevent and dismantle systems that cause hurt.
Do you feel like, in a sense, when you do have that type of beginning, that you carry tendencies that may make you choose to be in settings that kind of like mimic what you were going through?
I think that that also has its place in trauma and trauma responses and learned behavior, and also just a sense of responsibility, right? It's a heavy responsibility that I feel. How do I purpose my life, my being to help to prevent harm? So
Mhm.
yes, it does tie back to that, right? You just
Yeah.
want to you want to and I for me, I want to make sure that when I leave this earth, I left it in a better place or left it with experiences and spaces that were better than what I had.
Yeah. So would you say that going through what you went through and the experiences that you've had professionally and personally, is that what caused you to want to choose the lane of consultant? What made you choose that specific lane of consultant?
No, that's a good question. That's a really good question because when I made the pivot from corporate, it was not that I just said, I'm going to be a consultant, right? Not at all. And I took a year of unlearning. I had to unlearn the corporate mindset. And it was during that year that I really honed into what it is that I want to offer, right? So my offer is twofold. Number one, I am here to help, you know, high performing women to really refine and perfect their professional development and their career space, right? I'm leveraging my lived experiences to help them.
Mhm.
But on a broader scale, the consultancy also speaks to enterprise clients, right? That, can call the shots for the women who are sitting in the seats.
Yeah.
And with that consultancy includes frameworks, SaaS solutions, which I'm launching here pretty soon, that offer scalability that says, okay, enterprise client, if you are true to what you say you are, let's check in with your people.
Mhm.
Let's survey your people and get a true sentiment and have that sentimentality scored against um, the international standards of psychosocial risk and hazards. And not only are we scoring it against that, right? Because we want you to understand empathy is just not a sentiment, it is a organizational capability, i.e., a compensable metric if you look at it right.
Yeah.
So we're not just talking about how you feel. I'm not here to give you a moral challenge. I'm not trying to tip your moral compass. I'm trying to make you see that it's not just the feelings, but it also translates into the finances. So those conversations, those key points have two different audiences. My girl who's sitting in the seat, I'm here to encourage you, uplift you, and help you to guide and navigate your way through that space. But also my board member, right? Less about my story, more about my competence as a risk professional to show you, hey, you're running into a wall, right? This could have implications for you from a risk or financial, regulatory, all of this, it ain't good, but I need you to be able to quantify it. I need you to be able to have a posture that is sound and tied into the fact that you can evidence the decision you made to stop and dismantle those types of situations from happening in your organization. So twofold. That's a long answer, honey, but it's
No,
my
it's good. It's a great answer because it just shows you how intricate it is and how it can be what you do serves both parties. And if you can help them fix it on an enterprise level, it helps everyone at the next level because
immediate.
it's a trickle down effect. So I think that was a great answer because you gave us the insight of what it takes. Because if we can change the mindsets of the leaders, it helps everybody.
Absolutely. I'm of the opinion that, you know, the closer you are to board level decisions, the more succinct, concise your messaging has to be, right? And it has to be packaged in a way where it says, okay, so what, right? Yeah, I'm acknowledging, but so what?
Hmm.
Okay, well, here's the acknowledgement. You're causing harm to your staff. So, what is if you don't stop those models that you created and the stuff that you're reporting to investors is greatly flawed. And it don't
Hmm.
matter how much AI you got on top of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That want to talk about human in the loop, that's the human in the loop. Empathy is evidence of the human in the loop. And
Yeah.
you cannot ignore it.
Have you seen many parallels or many commonalities in the mindset of an employee and an employer, like in the things that would stop them from wanting to show their empathy or utilize it in a sense of creating a structure?
Yeah. I think the commonality between the two roles that I've seen has been vulnerability, right? And the the feeling of being vulnerable in the employee role, there's less in my opinion, less reservation around showing vulnerability, right? Because I have less social risk or a professional risk in doing so.
Mhm.
But from an employer standpoint, there is greater resistance to showing vulnerability because there may have this underlying implication that if I am more vulnerable, that diminishes my level of authority, my level of effectiveness as a leader, right? So I'm going to be less vulnerable. I'm going to less vulnerable and more guarded or more structured because if I can keep my guard up and show less, minimize the amount of humanity that I show as a leader, the more I can perform when that is such a gap,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And a leader not honoring and harnessing their vulnerability as a leadership um, win or trait or plus or add or however you want to say it, that's a loss for you, right? Especially now because employees and people want to see that you see them and that you value their humanity.
Yeah.
I mentioned AI briefly. A lot of people are carrying anxiety of how AI may replace me in my job, right? So if you're not seeing people as human, you're not bringing your humanity forward, and people are afraid that I'm being replaced by a non-human, there's a huge gap.
Yeah.
There's a huge gap.
For
So
sure.
I would say vulnerability is the commonality. One is used properly, one is missed opportunity.
How do you navigate or help someone in that space where they're battling with themselves when it comes to that? Um, at the end of the day, it's if you're talking about bottom line, it's going to impact your bottom line regardless. So how would you navigate someone through that though?
I think the key thing is more building self-awareness, right? And really spending time with leaders and helping them to understand the value of vulnerability
Mhm.
and showing them how to use it, to embrace it, knowing when to embrace it, knowing when to listen, when to act, and when to really be present. Just being present sometimes with an employee is all the help that they need,
Yeah.
right? And giving permission. You have permission to feel, to be, to embody your humanity in a shared space with me. So really educating leaders on awareness and situational leadership is how you do that
Yeah.
in my mind.
I would imagine the impact of like the percentages of how millennials are moving when it comes to leaving jobs and like
Yes,
how well not just millennials, Gen Z too, but how
all
people are
generations.
moving around, they're not staying.
Yeah,
They're not staying and they're qualified, very qualified.
yeah. That's the generational impact in the workforce, right? And you, as organizations, you have to be really tied into that and really focused on, you know, you got multiple generations and multiple generations, you have to be able to be situational in how you address them and how you space or, create space for them. It has to be accounted for because if you're not, then you're constantly backfilling, you're constantly fighting and trying to keep the right people in your space. And that even drives costs because you're just constantly churning, and that's more of a risk to an organization than anything. That's that human capital risk.
Yeah, and it costs however much it costs to train a new employee. Like,
Not
I don't
only
even
just
wanna know.
not even the you gotta figure the recruitment process of it, right? I gotta recruit you, I gotta do whatever onboarding exercises, all of that stuff. So it's not just the training is one part of it.
Yeah,
But then you still have to give that employee time to come up to speed to be that optimal, you know, addition to your team,
Mhm.
and based on what you've hired them for. So that's a lot of stuff in the background with that should further justify why on the front end, leaders should embrace vulnerability. That is an underutilized leadership tool
Mhm.
that needs to be uh, really brought forward.
How would you define leadership just in a vacuum?
In a vacuum, leadership to me goes back to empathy. I see you, I hear you, I value you. And it doesn't matter to me what position I'm in. I am connected with your humanity. We have that core bond. And as long as I am tied into your humanity, my objectives shouldn't matter. And I say they should matter in the space of my objectives are secondary to your humanity. My objectives matter because I got a job to do too,
Yeah.
right? But the way I approach and achieve those objectives should be squarely aligned with a human-centric approach. That's how I define leadership.
You clearly are pulling from the Bible as well because that's very you can
It's
tell
it's Jesus all day, but
all day. So so could you tell me about your relationship with Christ and how that has helped you to just pretty much become more self-aware? Because I really believe that getting to know Christ and getting to know God is it's a self-exploration process. Like you're just learning about yourself. When you get to know him, you're learning more about you. So could you tell me about your relationship with him and how that has set the foundation for you?
yeah. So my relationship with Christ, man, it has evolved over the years of my life, right? And my view of who he is to me, right? And the understanding the different ways he shows up in the different situations in my life and seeing him evidenced as the different names of God in my life, right?
Yeah.
So as a child, I understand him to be a savior and hey, this is why I'm accepting you as my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, right? Because you died, you sacrificed, you went to the grave on my behalf, right? You honored the request of your father, but you interceded for me
Mhm.
even before I knew to make a choice, right? But as I matriculate through life, my relationship with Christ intensifies more in that I value that sacrifice more because not only do I understand the sacrifice, I understand what it meant for you to sacrifice for me, even though there were things I were going to do wrong that didn't align with your word. You still chose me.
Yeah.
You still did the things wrong, and you still have chosen me. You've given me grace. You've given me ambition. You've given me anointing, all in spite of the bad things. Not saying something is so great that I've done wrong, but even those minor things, the
Mhm.
self-doubt, right? The things of me choosing to worry about something. Well, wait a minute, Keita. You gotta check yourself. I told you don't worry. Cast your cares on me. I chose to hold those cares, but yet and still, you're still my God, and you still love me. You still whisper to my heart, you know. Even when I have noise going on, you allow the noise to quiet, and in that quiet space, you still talk to me. You still love me. You are infinite in my heart. So that's what Jesus means to me is the undying love and that
Mhm.
relate not necessarily the religion of it, right? Because religion can cloud the hope and the joy and the goodness tied to Jesus and his
Absolutely.
core message, right? So I'm not bashing religion. I'm just saying don't allow rules and processes and, rigor to overshadow the relationship. And so for me, it's all about the relationship. I can respect what you got going on in the religion, However, I'm gonna move you around so it doesn't interfere with that relationship. Respect, rigor, relationship, right? So that's what it means to me. That's who he is. He is my lifeline, my IV drip, right? I gotta have you when I'm dehydrated because I chose not to drink water.
Yeah,
You the living spring. I'm the one who chose not to do it. I'm the one who chose not to drink of you. You gave me a test. You said, seek me. I said, okay, whatever. I'm trying to do this here.
that's how it goes too.
I know. So that's who he is to me. He's my everything, even in spite of my fallacy, even in spite of me. I can give me so many different names because I'm so many different iterations and versions of me in a situation. But what is not iterative is his love and his consistency and his faithfulness towards me and about me. And the fact
Mhm,
that he authored time, a life, engagements, interactions, everything solely for me.
mhm.
That's who he is for me.
I think that's, absolutely amazing, and I think it's interesting how the relationship that we have with Christ, like, what you just explained to me is literally the same thing that you're doing in business. It's almost like you're helping people to see themselves fully, and
Yeah,
you said, "I respect what you're doing, but I have to make sure that the relationship is solid." Because that's what's gonna carry everything through, right? That's
yeah,
basically like the lifeline of the business. That's the lifeline of your life with Christ. It's like it's trickling down from him to them, you know?
yeah. I say it's ultimately about integration,
Mhm.
right? As people of faith, we are typically, or I won't say typical because I don't want to, speak for anybody. I can speak for myself. I have experienced and have dealt with the stigma of you got to make a choice. You can't have faith and work. They
Yeah,
have to be separate. I don't know if it's a US thing where church and state is separate and that kind of locked into our minds, right, as American citizens. However, I'm looking at, okay, I can be anointed and ambitious in the same thing. It came from the same source. It all came from God.
yeah,
Why do I have to choose, right? Why do I have to make a choice? Can't I have, this sense of calm, this sense of wholeness, and show up in my true authenticity, right? There's some there,
yeah,
at the time I was in corporate, there was this thing of bring your whole self to work. Well, your space might not, promote a space that I can be my whole self. So I'm going to create a space where my whole self can show up, my whole physical self, which accounts for my, you know, appearance, my physicality, but my whole spiritual self. That's the integration piece.
yeah. I
Yeah.
I was gonna say, when it comes to someone who is an employee or even an employer, how would you help them when it comes to integrating that? Because I think a lot of people fight themselves over, should I choose left or right? When honestly, you better choose right because at the end of the day, he gives you all your strength. He's the reason why you're here and you have the position. But it can be a battle trying to figure out how to show up. So could you just talk a little bit about that? Like what you would possibly do or to help someone that is battling that? Because I feel like that's
Yeah.
across the board.
Yeah. No, thank you for that question because it's going to affirm my answer will affirm me as well. Right. I feel that when you're in spaces and you need to show up, first you have to convince yourself. And the convincing yourself is that sacred space for meditation and reconfirmation and reaffirming yourself before you even try to show up, right?
Mhm.
And I get the the battle, the internal battle, right? I get the internal battle where I've given someone the exercise of When you feel that angst and that battle coming on, calm your spirit just for a split second to give yourself time to visualize that mustard seed.
Mhm.
And when I'm visualizing that mustard seed in my mind and my heart, that's all I need.
Mhm.
That's all I need is that mustard seed of faith. It will grow, grow, grow. And in the spaces that I'm going into, my mustard seed is going to go before me. I am convinced and affirm that that mustard seed of faith is going to pave the way for me to show up in my full integrated self.
Mhm.
Matter not who believe what in the room. That ain't my job to come in here to try to convince you to believe and have the level of faith that I have. My job is to be a living epistle, right? And that's where that grounding and that mustard seed for me comes in. So the mustard seed mentality quiets the noise, helps me to enter the room. And when I'm in the room, that mustard seed is going to punch out, right? And you trust and believe and have this little prayer that I say, God, you put kings and queen, you put them on the throne.
Yep.
You gave Solomon his wisdom. You gave Joseph resilience. I need you to give me what I need. I need you to give me the words to come out of my mouth that honors what you have given to me.
Mhm.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
I trust you. And I have to reaffirm this to myself. I promise you this. And so I thank you for that question. And I thank you for allowing me to repeat it out loud, right? Because the struggle is internal. And even when you think you have beat the, when you think hey, I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning, sometimes you lose focus on how you show up,
Mhm.
right? So speaking that out loud before you go in the room and remembering that mustard seed helps to ground you because no matter what you can't see in yourself, you're seeing with the eyes of your heart. And in
Yeah.
my heart, I see that mustard seed.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's breaking it down to its simplest form and to the simplest form. And earlier you mentioned your pretty much your standards and the things that like the principles. I'm a firm believer that principles keep you and help you to stay sustained because it's your everyday. This is what you're gonna do every day. I'm gonna show up this way. This is the standard for how we show up. So
Right.
would you repeat like your pillars really quickly too and talk a little bit about setting a standard for yourself?
Yep. So my guiding principles, and I'll share, and if people want to check them out later, they're on my website as well, eganrose.com. But my guiding principles, and I have 6 of them. It's safety. We cultivate environments of psychological and physical safety built on respect, transparency, and clear communication. Empathy. Make empathy the cultural thread that weaves trust, respect, and connection into every organization we serve. Choice. We honor diverse needs by offering choice, flexibility, and solutions that adapt to people, not the other way around. Empowerment. We empower individuals and organizations by restoring agency, fostering self advocacy, and building cultures where every voice matters. You're seen, right? And then 5, collaboration. We believe collaboration creates shared power, shared responsibility, and stronger outcomes for all. So in number 5, you got to see people as human. When you do, they're going to collaborate with you, for you, and align with your goals and presence. And then number 6, resilience. We strengthen the capacity of individuals and organizations to adapt, recover, and thrive in the face of challenges, turning disruption into growth. So that's them,
It's
you know?
amazing. I wanted to make sure that you said it again and that it was very clear because as you visualize and see that mustard seed and it gets you to you understand what God is trying to ask you to do or getting you to do, those principles are important because that just gives you more marching orders. Like it's just another step to what he's already shown you. So I think
It
it's very important for the principles to be in place.
ma'am, it gives you marching orders, it reinforces the orders that you already have,
Mhm.
right? It nurtures that mustard seed, but it also gives you guardrails,
Mhm. Yeah.
right? So the enemy don't bring distractions because you can't take my anointing.
Yeah.
You can't take what God got for me, but you can do your best to distract me.
Yeah.
And distraction is the thief of, it distraction is definitely the thief of progress.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So if you can distract me, I can throw all these glittery things your way that don't align with your principles,
Yeah.
but they glitter, right? They glitter. They feed that flesh, and we don't necessarily want to feed our flesh.
Not at all.
Not
Not
at
at
all.
all.
Not at all.
Not
We
at
got
all.
kill the flesh, right?
That's so short term. Like it's not gonna last.
It
It's
is
gonna
not
eat
gonna
you
last,
later. And it will eat you later.
right? And when it eats you up, you're going to come to the realization like, "Oh, God, I blew it." You
Mhm.
know? You're gonna
Yeah.
come to that realization. But here's the beauty about the God that we serve. He's gonna love us in spite of and still, show us grace and mercy in our failures, in our fallacies as human beings,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. For sure.
And I know we're just everywhere. I'm so happy with this conversation. I am.
Well, that makes me happy. My whole goal is to make you feel comfortable too, like so that you can express yourself the way you want to express yourself. And what you're saying is very important.
We were just talking about distractions. I immediately started praying. I started praying against the spirit of distraction. You will not win today. This message is for me as well as others, because I can guarantee you, I have
Mhm.
been just here recently. When I say recently, as yesterday, on a call with someone who is a multimillionaire, who has relationships with other multimillionaires, who has the ability to promote me in those spaces. And the one thing he said after we really were talking about, you know, us as individuals, right? Understanding the value, and you talked about commonalities, understanding our commonalities as people and people of color, right?
Mhm.
But realizing the impact and the the things that are left behind from being in spaces that have prolonged trauma impacts on you. So being
Yeah.
exposed for very long periods of time to traumatic spaces, it tends to leave residue. And that residue can manifest as you fighting your own demons,
Yeah.
right? So having this conversation today reinforces that I am my own best advocate. I am the one who will help to slay those internal demons
Mhm.
because they are nothing but distractions that are sent to try to keep me off of the path and the blessing that God has so uniquely and richly designed for my life that aligns to his word and his glory in Christ Jesus. So
Absolutely.
that's this here right here, bigger than us.
Absolutely. I believe that.
Reaffirms me because I
I
needed to
believe that.
talk out, right? So for the person, I generally coach women, but for the person who has been and seen and done and lived through so much, the residue of it has shaken your confidence, right? Has built what they call imposter syndrome, and you feel like you're identifying with that. Those are the lies, right?
Mhm.
Those are the lies. And we have to dismantle those lies, and we have to recognize it's less about being or considering yourself a fraud the way imposter syndrome is defined, but it's the imposter treatment. It is the impact of being in a prolonged space where you are devalued, where you are consistently undermined, you're consistently, you know, undercut. It's just that consistent, that nagging, that constantly, no, you're not worthy, right? In whatever capacity. Over time, that stuff eats at you and it can eat at
Yes, it
your
does.
confidence. Yeah. So I'm drifting, but I'm pulling back to say all of that is a trick of the enemy. Ground yourself in that mustard seed, let it punch out. Because what it punches out is greatness. That's it.
Yes. You weren't drifting, that's right where you're supposed to be. You're not drifting. It's very much so in pocket because that imposter syndrome, it kills more purpose than anything. Like, it doesn't kill it, but it delays you and it stops you from
It's delayed.
pursuing. So,
Yeah.
it's just unseen, like, it's just there,
Yeah.
and it's
And
not
that
being pushed out.
not at all. And it's such a disservice to us all. And I say to us all because I struggle with it. And that was one of the things that I've really been intentional on identifying, right? And so how do I empower that woman who's dealing with that? And one of the things that I've decided to do is to do a podcast, right? And talk about, yeah. So girl, I'm doing too much, but I do the right too much. It's all integrated.
Yes.
Um, that's it. Smart Women Pivot, right? That is the podcast. And we go through and look at the core lies that the enemy tries to feed you, right? And I will be inviting different brands where we'll talk about, different things and living from our learned experiences and helping to really motivate people on their day to day, especially in the entrepreneurial space, right? The emotional
Yeah.
aspects of being an entrepreneur, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the unlearning. It's listen, this year from corporate or this year in the pivot has taught me just that. You gotta unlearn. You
Yeah.
gotta unlearn. Yeah.
And give yourself grace too. You gotta unlearn and give yourself grace, because if you don't, you're gonna
Yes.
just sit in that puddle. You will be there forever.
Yes. That grace is indispensable. You cannot not do it, right?
No.
And I would even say from a standpoint of figuring out what is the meditation for you, meditate on grace. Let, extending grace to yourself be a staple in your week. I don't care if you just gotta book it on your calendar, and this is me talking to myself.
Mhm.
Ask the question, have I extended grace to myself, and in what capacity?
Yeah.
This, of course, again, I'm telling myself this because there have been instances where I've gotten so overwhelmed that I just said, no, I can't. I need a minute. But had I had the prompt to ask myself, did I extend grace and in what capacity? I feel like that would have helped me.
For
Right.
sure.
Yep. So that's it.
Yeah. It definitely would have, because you would have implemented it, you know?
Yeah. If
Yeah.
nothing else, I would have poked the bubble.
Mhm.
And poking the bubble means having a set shift in the moment.
Yeah.
We ain't got to have no frameworks. We ain't got to have this, 60-page PowerPoint and a audience and following and all. No, I just need to poke the bubble
Mhm.
because where my mind is, my body's going to follow.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's that practical wisdom, right?
Yeah.
Practice is just poke the bubble. Just poke the bubble. Give the prompt, right? And I know we're in that whole AI revolution where prompts are important, right? So given the level of prompt you give to AI dictates the type of outcome you receive. So you
Mhm.
are in the loop. Give yourself the right prompt. extend grace, use it as a prompt. Be explicit, be finite, be concise. Have you extended grace to yourself first? Next prompt, in what capacity? Third prompt, reflect. Fourth prompt, grow and be renewed in that. Fifth prompt,
Abs
keep pushing.
keep it pushing. Feel front, keep it pushing. You'll never know the outcome if you don't keep it pushing. So
Right.
you gotta have some data. Clearly, you gotta have the data so you can compare,
Prompts 1 through 4, you are in a lull. Prompt 5, you are activated.
Mhm. Yeah.
Come
Faith
on, honey.
without works. Faith without works.
Get creative. And ain't nothing dead about our life and about our Savior.
No,
Nothing dead. Nothing.
nothing at all. I think it's interesting that when people find people that are either very strategic or organized, they
Mhm.
they think about how their mindset works.
Mhm.
So for someone who loves systems and really discipline, because that's really what it comes down to when it comes to implementing systems and activating them.
Mhm.
Would you say that there's a certain way that your mind works when it comes to loving systems or putting those types of things in place? Or are you just like, I just like my organization, I want it to run smoothly?
Listen, I have disclaimer that I'm a ADHDer. I'm a real spicy chick. So when it comes to discipline and systems and all of that, honey, I think that's where my scorecard fails because I'm loaded with, ideas and activation.
Mhm.
I think it is very important to have discipline because without those systems in place, the likelihood of accomplishing something is very small. You can't be scalable. So it is very important. How I think about it, I really have to leverage tools to keep me in check, right?
Mhm.
I have to. And that's a part of that. Now, I would say that would be my biggest advice for someone who is looking to make the pivot into entrepreneur space. Think about it on a daily basis. Like, what does your day look like? What are the tools and the systems that you need to have in place to deliver on a product or service, right? You can dream it up all day long,
Mhm.
but how are you going to deliver, right?
Yeah.
So, BD, meaning business development, is one thing, service delivery is something totally different,
This is
right?
facts.
So as you're thinking about what you want to do next, think all the way down to that level. What's the offer? What do you need in place to provide service deliverables in the minimum, as a minimum viable product that can be reproduced easily, consistently, client over
Mhm.
client? So, yes, you gotta have structure, you gotta have discipline and tools in place. I would say spend more time on having that thoughtfulness in what you want to do, how
Mhm.
it can be done, and how you're going to deliver it, and who you want to do it for,
Yeah.
and that on the front end. Because trying to do it on the back end is like you building a beautiful offering for this ideal client. What if you get them? Then what?
Yeah. Where they coming from? Who are they?
Right, and then how you gonna deliver? Honey, I'm telling you, this feels like been a year of self-discovery. That's kinda where I'm at right now, is refining, right? Refine just to the minimum until you have the capacity to be scalable, right? And really,
Yeah.
I know I talked earlier about the SaaS solution, for Empathy IQ. That is an opportunity for me to have scalability. So when you don't want me in the room, okay, I don't have to be in the room. If the tool is in the room, the impact's still there.
Mhm.
But the framework, the teachings, the trainings, and such, the consultancy piece, that brings me in the room,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And I can't do it without systems and discipline, right? So all of that is it's working. It's coming together.
Yeah. There's layers. There's layers, and I love that you spoke about all of those different layers because sometimes people get so focused on one part that they don't ever shift or try to give tools a chance because they feel like they're not doing the job. I'm like, you're doing the job by putting that system in place to do it for you. So
Honey,
I'm grateful that
yes.
you said that because they need to know that you can do both and it's nothing taken away from you because you have to pay for it and you have to implement it. So it's important.
Yes. Yes. And that's a true learning. It is such a true learning. And then understanding and valuing project management, right? You got to be able to do it. You
Mhm.
have to be able to do it. And if you're not the person to do it, you have to be a leader that says, hey, I know my strengths. That ain't one of them. Let
Mhm.
me call somebody to get over here and get this done.
Help me out.
Help me out, Lord Jesus. Let's go back to another prayer that I pray as an entrepreneur. Lord, send a team.
Mhm.
If you send a team, I know they are purposed to be here. They not here trying to do their own thing or come and build their own thing off of my back,
Mhm.
right? They're here because you have rightfully prompted their heart to be here. And
Mhm.
according to your will, God, send the team. Not only send the team, send the buyer. I
Yeah.
want everything that I do to be aligned with what you have for me in this season. Because when I took the pivot, I pray to ask God that if my assignment in this place is up, let me leave.
Yeah.
So if he let me leave one assignment and sent me on a new one, I still have to be tied into the fulfillment of that purpose for the assignment.
Yeah. For sure. The theme of this season is betting on yourself, right? And I think a lot of times people think that betting on yourself is a ego thing or it's like I can do it when really from the perspective I'm coming at it from it's like you're betting on the version of you that God created. And what
Yes.
you just said is literally that. It's not moving without consulting him, but also having the courage to leave or pivot when he's prompting you to do it. So, could you tell me a few of the things that you may have experienced or key things that made you make the pivot or just pushed you a little bit further to do it?
Yeah, I will tell you this is uniquely my story, where I had a dream that I was running and there was this cliff. And I remember seeing the cliff and I could see there was nothing on the other side of the cliff. There was a cloud, but I could see there was nothing on the other side of that cliff. And stopped at the edge and I looked. And as I looked down, I looked up. I felt God saying, if you trust me, jump.
Hmm.
And I jumped and I woke up. That was the dream. And memory, I have to think through the timing between then and the actual notice that I gave that I was leaving. I remember distinctly God speaking to my heart before saying, okay, my job, I gotta go. That he spoke to my heart and he told me, you trusted me enough in your sleep to
Hmm.
jump off the cliff. Now I need you to trust me with your eyes open.
Yeah.
And that was the moment. That was the moment that I said yes to the pivot. The
Yeah.
pivot is trust, right? I trust you with my eyes open or closed.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's the pivot.
It That's the pivot. It comes down to it definitely comes down to trust and
Yeah,
knowing that he has you in his hands regardless. Um,
regardless.
regardless. So, but the quality of life, I always say that we have a responsibility to making sure that we do our part to make sure the quality of life is what it should be.
Yeah,
And at the end of the day, he can show you all these things, but if you're not willing to leave or trust him enough to go, when he says go and don't look back, you'll turn into that. You're gonna turn into that. That's gonna be you.
right. You're a
if you
pretty
don't
little pillar of
choose.
salt. Right, honey. Don't be no pretty little pillar of salt. You don't need
No,
to uh-uh. That's that's not becoming. That's not ladylike. That's not. We ain't want to be salt.
no,
And
we just want to be salt of the earth. That's it. No, we don't want to be that.
that's it. That's the only kind of salt I want. I
Yes.
honey. And then Imma tell you something else too. God has really challenged me to see myself
Mhm.
in this pivot, right? That's
Mhm.
the unlearning. See yourself, because I need you to see you how I see you
Mhm.
all
That's
the
it.
time.
Mhm.
Ties back to mustard seed.
Mhm.
I need you to see you how I see you all the time. If you see you like I see you, imposter syndrome goes away.
Mhm.
Doubt goes away. Fear goes away. I need you to see you how I see you in every capacity. I need you to see you, Coach K, Keidra. I need you to see you how I see you.
Mhm.
You are the apple of my eye. I know every hair on your head. There's not a tear that you dry or cried that is wasted. I have every one of your tears, and I care for you enough to do so. So I need you to show up and see you how I see you. Show them, be present, show up how I see you. Because if you show up as Keidra, it's not going to be as impactful as showing up as the daughter of the king.
Absolutely. Yep.
Keidra has limited capacity, but the daughter of the king, oh, honey, I bring that smoke,
Yeah.
the clouds, all of that's coming in the room with me if I show up as well and how he sees me. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're made in his image. So I mean, you might as well go ahead and
I
show
might as
out.
well. I might
Go
as
ahead and
well.
show out.
I
Yeah.
might as well. Oh my goodness. I needed to have patient honey. I need to have you are a balm for my spirit. I promise you. So
Oh, that's so
God,
sweet.
yeah, no, it's so real. It's so true. I keep going back to God is the author of time.
He is. He
He is the
definitely is.
author of time. He knew.
Yeah. I appreciate you for that. And I was gonna say I can't let you leave out of here with us talking about image without talking about your image as well. Cause it's inside and it's outside. So we're gonna always say this. One thing
Yes.
she gonna do is show up with all the smoke. And she gonna be fly every time. Okay. So can you tell me where your style comes from? Because you are very stylish. I love it. Jewelry, everything is always on point. So we
Thank
gotta talk
you.
about that before I let you go.
Okay. Style honey. Let me tell you, I'm so eclectic. At one point, right, at a different point in life, I had I was working at a corporate job. I got laid off. I got angry. I was like, I'm gonna do my own. And I wind up starting out selling t-shirts, right? I taught myself, I figured out how to do it, I got good at it, and I would do little pop-ups and go and be a vendor, right?
Mm-hmm.
But a part of that meant it's like, I don't want to just do t-shirts. This is me. That's that middle child. I knew I liked fashion, right? I always have liked fashion and nice things as a little girl. So I expanded from t-shirts to include jewelry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And accessories and stuff. And then I bumped into this lady at an event. She liked my things. I think at that time I kind of expanded too from the jewelry and the t-shirts to women's clothing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was a pop-up shop, right? I had a little pop-up boutique. My little moniker was I am the fairy glam mother, right? And the business name was Fearless by Design, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I was fearfully and wonderfully made. It was all through him. And the premise of like the fashion is just me. It's just my artistic expression. And
Mm-hmm.
I like to see contrast and comparison and all, just artistic, right?
Yeah.
But the story that I'm going like where I started with the story with the lady, she, wound up asking me, she was like, "Hey, can you be my stylist?" Right? I was like, "Stylist?" So I'm an entrepreneur. I'm like, "Okay, whatever." Right? So that prompted one client for me to be a personal stylist, then another
Mhm.
client, right? I think at one point I had like 3 different clients that I was their stylist, and they was with professional women, and so that kinda morphed into that space, but it's just art. It's art to me.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. My dad was an artist, so I don't know if, uh, that's where it comes from, and when I was a young girl, my mom, she used to have this little social group where they would model. They were models. They were the quote unquote total experience models, right?
Mhm.
This was back in the late 70s, early 80s. Girl, honey, they was giving it, right? And they would do fashion shows and all of this stuff. So I guess fashion and art has always been a part of my life. So it just still
Yeah.
kind of up now. But thank you. I appreciate it.
I love that. Look, God wastes nothing, and everything that you were doing, you didn't even know that it was gonna come into this all-inclusive package that you are, you know?
Girl, not
It's
at all.
amazing.
You hear me? Not at all, honey. I've had people tell me, like, in different countries like, I was in Mexico City, I went on a trip with this organization here in Texas called Her
Mm.
Texas, where
Uh-huh.
it's all for, women entrepreneurs, and they did their first international trip. I was like, "Yeah, let me go." We were at the, Frida Kahlo Museum, and there was some woman there who I don't meet a stranger, and we're just talking and stuff, and I think I liked her tennis shoes. We
Mhm.
had a long, like, 5-10 minute conversation about outfits and shoes and swag and international designers and all kind of stuff. So much so I almost got left. They like, "Girl, you better come on." So it's just, for me, it's faith, fun, and fashion, right?
Yeah.
You gotta be you, and I'm embracing that. I'm embracing all of me and allowing all of me to show up. Whereas at some points in my life, I was more guarded
Mhm.
about what version of me showed up because I didn't wanna be interpreted or labeled or this, and that. I'm just gonna keep it a book right now. I don't know if it's that I'm, past that 50 point or the pivot has really shown me me
Yeah.
and me appreciation for me and love for me and knowing that he's gonna love me regardless. My
Yeah.
God is strong enough to love me regardless,
Yeah.
regardless. And understanding that his love never fails, never fails. So to the conversation and this little thing that happened, we talk about fashion and faith and all this stuff, this little blip that happened in the social media space where the pastor's wife had this beautiful dress on and people were talking about, oh, it's too revealing for a first lady. Baby bye. You know, that
She can wear
woman,
what she wants.
she wear what she want. She wears what she wants. Do you think that dress gonna take her out of God's sight? And the plan he had for her life?
Nope.
Not at all. Not at
Nope.
all. Not at all. She's the jewel and the feather to her husband's cap. He like it.
Mhm.
You love it. She
Yeah.
love her work enough to say, "Yeah, honey, I put in the work. I'm putting it on."
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's her body, it's her
Yeah,
choice, and we're not supposed to judge, right? So at the end of the day, let people do what they're gonna do. Make sure that heart posture is correct, and at the end of the day, you gotta be who you are, and God is gonna always be there with you regardless. I always say it's me and him, and everybody else is extra. You know,
yeah.
everybody
Let's
else is extra.
principles, right?
Yeah.
Empathy, empowerment, choice, safety. Baby, the starting back at the beginning of the conversation around the leadership quality, that's self-leadership too, be vulnerable, right?
Mhm.
Be vulnerable and see somebody else as a human,
Yeah.
right? And appreciate that, "Hey, I love you because you love you."
Mhm. Yeah. I
you
love that you
know?
feel safe enough to be you around me. That is the greatest compliment you can ever receive from
Yeah,
another individual.
yes. That's
Yeah.
what that's the thing that I want most in life is to create safe spaces for people that they feel safe. So if I see you somewhere and we there together, I got a cocktail, you got a cocktail, we having cocktails. If I got a cigar, you got a we having cigars. Well, I still love you, right? And even in this moment, me saying that to you is liberating because
Mhm.
there's been I would say this is my first time on camera, open camera, because I know you're gonna share this publicly saying that, right?
Yeah.
Does that take away from who I am and what I know God has done for me and what He's continuing to do and going to do?
Not at all.
Will that take away from ministry for me? If it does, you ain't the person I'm supposed to be ministering to anyway. You still
Yeah.
working your own thing.
It's usually the other person, to be honest with you, because you perceived it that way. You have to check yourself. At the end of the day, the goal is to be 100% authentically yourself and live for Christ. And whatever you do brings honor to him. That's the goal, is to bring honor to him. We're gonna fall short at times because we're human,
Yeah,
but it's just getting back up and doing it over and over again every day. Showing up
every
every
show
day.
up.
Show
Show
up.
every show up every day. Let
Yeah.
me put me and my mustard seed on the ground for this 24, and we're
Mhm.
gonna do it again tomorrow. God willing.
Yeah. Yep. That's it.
God
So,
willing. Yeah.
well, like I said earlier, we're made in his image, and he's a very bold God, and you show up boldly everywhere you go. And I love that. And I pray that you continue to do what you're doing, because it really is kingdom work, and you're helping people to find themselves in Christ, which is going to impact so many people afterwards. So please keep doing that. And I really do appreciate you coming on the show and
No,
sharing with us your insight.
I appreciate you having me, and I appreciate, again, the bond, right, and the opportunity, and you know what? I think it will be recurring. These conversations will be recurring. I don't think this is the last time that we'll talk. I
Yeah.
know for people who want to get plugged into Smart Women Pivot, just go to smartwomenpivot.com and they can kind of sign up. I'm building out a wait list and all of that. Then on the socials at Egan Rose Consulting, you can follow me there. And of course, LinkedIn is my space for my enterprise clients. I may start doing coaching, one-on-one coaching, but you know, I'll share a link with you and you can share with your people if they want to sign up for a wait list while I decide,
Yes.
then
Please do.
it, so be it. But that's
Yeah.
me. That's where I'm at. I'm in the pivot, right? I'm a smart woman and I am in the pivot and I'm
That's
integrated and I'm unapologetic.
Life coach with the right approach, yeah. She gon' put some Jesus on it. It's that level 27. Hey, don't stress, be blessed. 3 things to digest. Stay focused, trust God, and respect the process.